Hi, today we're going to talk about how to find deals. So when you're trying to sell, you always want to have maximum exposure and maximum competition for prices and buyers. But when you're trying to buy, the key is an inefficient market where you're trying to find a distressed seller. You're typically going to be the only one, the first, sometimes the last. So again, when you want to buy, it's good to have an inefficient market where you are in a stronger negotiation position. When you're going to try to sell, in order to maximize, you want a maximum exposure. So how to find a distressed seller? We call it the 4Ds: death, divorce, debt, and disaster. You want to work with lawyers that do probate, look at probate notices. Same thing for divorce or debt, so people that are about to be foreclosed or foreclosed notice. Disaster is a very specialty work where you basically are chasing hurricane, storms, natural disasters like we had in Louisiana, New Orleans, in Florida, and you're going to get really 5 cents on a dollar for incredible lots or incredible properties. Now, another way to look at it is, in order to be successful, is how to speak with the seller. And you always want to focus on what is their why and ensure that you always go with value add solutions. Because people that are distressed have a problem, and you need to have the mentality of trying to put yourself in their shoes and know how you're going to help them with their issue. Another angle is to look at distressed properties. So the properties looking through tax liens, driving for dollars. So you basically take a subset of a zip code and you drive on every street and look at properties that just look bad. And typically they have a story behind, and typically a story where you can solve a problem. You can be very successful at networking with insurance agents to look at the insurance claims where you have, especially in cases of total losses, where the insured seller will take a fat check from the insurance, practically rebuying their house, but they still own the lot. And sometimes the house is in reality semi-salvageable, and you could really get it for a few cents on the dollar, a great piece of land or properties or house that can be restored. You can also be in contact with HOAs. HOAs do not like to sue and go through a formal foreclosure process, but they will love to work with you in order to work with the property owner is in trouble, might not have the money to upkeep it, might not have the money to pay the dues, and therefore is in trouble. And again, you're offering a solution to the HOA and to the property owner. Lastly, you can look at an MLS. You want to definitely look at words like motivated, fast, as is, investor. But you really need to move extremely fast with MLS. It's the only two properties I bought on the MLS were properties where I was at the property within a couple of hours from when the ad came out, and I was ready with the contract and the earnest money check. I purposely put it as last because it's so easy that it's overused, inflated, and it goes typically to what you see here, sell maximum exposure, and therefore there's too much competition. In all this, also take a look at the balance between time and money. For example, driving for dollars is very inexpensive, very effective, but it's very time consuming. On the other end, buying lists of pre-selected properties, there's tax liens, and maybe an assistant that makes some calls for you can be a solution. So you have several ways to balance time and money. And you want to really go deep and become specialized in one or two bullets that you see on this page. Do not try to make it all. This brings you now to the next point. Now you finally are to the seller. How do you approach them? You want to, again, give them a why to sell. Talk their language, put yourself in their shoes. Offer easy solutions. They already have a lot of issues. They need to see you as a problem solver. definitely listening and be compassionate and frame everything as a solution. And ensure that you follow up. Sometimes, often, they're not ready in the first conversation. Often you're getting the deal at the 6, 7, 8, 9 touch that you have with them. On the other hand, do not be too persistent. Especially when you talk, don't be too pushy. Don't try to have a cookie cutter approach, which brings me to the next point. The market is flooded with approaches that probably were economically sound a few years back, where people would delegate abroad the task to call a lot of sellers in order to get the needle in the stock. But don't do that. Is overused at this point, and a cookie cutter approach to the script is not working anymore because there's too many people, too many competitors that have tried to scale it. And now it's time to go back and really have that personal touch that will make the whole difference.